It's another episode of This Week in Google Glass. We're going to talk about how referees might be using glass very soon, how cops could be using glass very soon, how I'm using glass right now, how Luke has his glass and he doesn't have any problems with that, and a whole bunch more. And then, of course, we're going to show you how to do it on the Android here. It's all this week in Google Glass. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine. Think magazine, put in a geek. You've got Geekazine, smash it together like a nice peanut butter sandwich. Tasty and not good for you. Well, kind of good for you, but not good for you. It depends on the bread. And if you have gluten-free bread, it's really good for you. And if you put lettuce on that with that peanut butter, it's really, really good for you. So anyway, you can catch me over at Jeff at twig.tv, TWIGG.tv. That's my email address. Of course, Geekazine is my Twitter handle. And my cohort in this crime we have a slight little delay of like a second on his voice. So he's going to speak and then you're going to see his lips move. I don't know what's going on here, but Mr. Luke Wallace.
Yeah, it's Luca on Twitter. I guess I'm the jelly to Jeff's peanut butter. I don't know, maybe the chocolate to the peanut butter. I'm not sure what I'm going at here, but yeah, twig.tv or all of my contact information is in the show notes.
All right, there you go. And that was kind of weird. You kind of broke up just for a second there. So hopefully that was just a small little connection issue that
Yeah.
we're going to get going. So Luke, you had some fun. You had your Google. We'll talk about your Google Glass experience for the week because I didn't have one until about 12 hours ago. So why don't you tell us about your Google Glass experience for this week?
Yeah, so this weekend I went downtown. There's this park that they built over the highway downtown um, in Dallas. So it was kind of neat. It was really nice weekend. And so me and my wife went down there and kind of spent some time hanging out outside, and it was neat. The vendors there at the food trucks were really
Then they just kind of close up and disappear. We have up on the square. There's always food trucks, so I should probably take some pictures of all the food trucks around the Capitol Square. That'd be kind of fun. So, but it looks like a cool time. I can't wait to get to Dallas sometime. I haven't been to Dallas in a very long time. I should probably make a trip down there. I know that they got a podcasting uh, uh, conference coming up very soon, and I wouldn't mind being part of that.
cool.
So,
Have
anyway,
to meet up.
oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Maybe we'll do a live this week in Google Glass, and I won't have to worry about delays and internet connections and anything like that.
It'd
So
be crazy.
it is, yeah, yeah. It would be crazy, wouldn't it? I wouldn't know what to expect because you'd be talking. And it's like, hey, I can see your lips move. This is not right. Okay, yeah, you do that too. Mm.
Yeah.
Hey, first of all, everybody, thank you very much for coming to the show. I know that's we're just babbling here for a couple seconds. This week in Google Glass, all about Google Glass and news and views and everything. If this is the first time you've come to This Week in Google Glass, thank you very much for coming. We do this in a video format and an audio format, and we just landed on Stitcher over at Stitcher Internet Radio at Stitcher.com. So if you've got a mobile device, which you should, like an Android or an iOS device, then you should be able to pull it up on Stitcher in the audio version. Of course, you can watch the video version on YouTube over at youtube.com/geekazine or at This Week in Google Glass or twig.tv. So, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you can get next week's episode next week when it comes out, because that's usually how that works, and go from there. All right. And of course, this week in Google Glass, if you let's see, let's go over to the website here really quick. This is everything this week in Google Glass. We've got last week's episode. We've got an area that says donate to TWIGG, and this is really cool because if we're trying to work out ways to get people pairs of glass as they start rolling out, whether it be through a developer's program or once they become released to manufacturer, then we'll be able to help schools get glass. We'll be able to help other people that want to get a pair of glass, get a pair of glass. So this is how we're doing it. We've got a donate page. So we don't have any sponsors on the show. And in the donate page, basically we ask for donations that will cover costs. And of course, you can donate anything from $1 to $1,500 if you want to. Once we cover our costs, then what we'll do is we'll take some of that money and we will put it into a kitty where other people that want to get Google Glass will help them pay for their Google Glass. Or down the like a year or two down the road, maybe we'll get a school. If Google Glass is $300-400, we could probably get a whole school full of Google Glasses, 30 students with Google Glass. That would be cool. So that's what this donate page is about. Please go over there. Please make donations because it does cost a little bit to actually do this show. And I appreciate it very much. Luke, you also appreciate it very much. I know that. And
Absolutely.
And we go from there. So check it out over at twig.tv or thisweekingoogleglass.com. All right. We'll start off with the most obvious thing. My third pair of Google Glass is here. And how many pairs of Google Glass have you gone through, Luke?
I'm still my first one.
Yeah, what's up with that? You don't break any? What?
I don't know. Maybe the black one's a little more robust. I don't know.
It's possible. I don't know. So anyway, I did a full write up of the unbox. I have the unboxing as well. In fact, right here, I'm gonna flip over to this camera. Right here, you'll actually see the RMA box that Google Glass comes in. Now, when you get your glass, when you have to send it back, they send you this box, and then you open it up. Maybe there we go. Open it up, and there's a nice place that you can put your Google Glass. You've also got to put in your power cord and the cord and the plug itself. So you open it up, and there's a little place to put the cord and the plug as well. And then you put it in. You put it all back together, and then you send it back to Google Glass. You keep the shades, you keep the felt case and all that stuff. And then this goes into another box, which then goes back to Google Glass. They then send you this box again, this time having a pair of Google Glass in it. So, and technically it's the same RMA box, but of course it has my pair of Google Glass. And so I got this new pair of Google Glass, and we're going to see what happens. We'll see if it survives. What do you think? Are you on the poll or the pool for when my Google Glass is about to die?
I don't know. That's a real crapshoot there. Like I'm hoping that you don't have any more problems with it and they last longer. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. So, hey, like I said, I don't mind them breaking because that means that I'm doing something that's or they're just doing something, and my feedback then becomes part of the actual release version of Google Glass. So I don't mind them breaking. I don't mind them sending back. It's just all about the customer service, which they say was supposed to be stellar and superior. And I have yet to see their customer support be that stellar thing. It's something that's supposed to be out of the box thinking, and I just don't see it. So anyway, have you had to call in to support at all, Luke?
Actually, no, I haven't, because I haven't had any problems with them. I guess I've had a couple of intermittent issues, but usually they would end up just fully crashing with the software, or I'd reboot them and everything would be fine. And it's been real rare, and I do shut them down on occasion. So I don't know if there's something I'm doing that's causing it to not get into those states, or maybe I just got a little lucky with the pair that I got. So we'll see.
Well, there's a lot of people that have Google Glass that haven't had these problems. I don't think, Robert Scoble's put him in the shower, and I don't think he's I don't think he's had any problems. But then again, he lives in San Francisco. So if he did have a problem, he probably just shuttled right over to the San Francisco office and said, "Hey, this is broken. Fix it." And they said,
Yeah.
"Okay." So I don't know. I haven't asked him. I should ask him that question, and see if he actually has had more than one pair. But and we're always looking. If you've had problems with your Google Glass, let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine. Of course, Jeff at twig.tv or Luke at twig.tv, and let us know your story of what happened with your Google Glass, and we'll talk about it on the show. So, all right, let's get into the news for this week. Was there anything else we needed to talk about before we get into the news?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's get into the news for this week then. You've got the first story here. Let's see. It's over at androidguys.com. It's the first month with Google Glass, and it was an article by Jason Cipriani. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so it was just a nice summary of his experience after actually using Glass quite a bit for a month. Um, I would say it echoes a lot of what I would write up if I were to write up a summary of it. Um, Basically, he kind of like the main points to get out of it are he was still self-conscious about wearing them even after a month, and I would say that that's still true because he didn't really go into exactly why. I think it's partly that you hear all these stories about people being really concerned about Google Glass and people leaving comments on forums that they're really upset about Google Glass and worried about privacy issues. And a lot of the stuff that we've talked about on prior episodes of being not quite as big of a deal as some people make it out to be. It can be a concern, but it's usually a little extreme when you see people talk about it. And so I think that still that idea. So I'm still self-conscious. Like I don't wear them anywhere. I usually wear them kind of as an experiment, see how people are going to react. And I found, much like he said in the article, that people are very positive about Google Glass. Like most people are just really excited about them, and they really think it's cool. And then if you let them try it, they just think it's the most amazing thing they've ever seen. And they're like, "This is the future. I want these. When do I get them? How long?"
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the most common question I get now. It used to be, "Are you taking my picture right now?" or "Are you recording right now?" It seems like the most common most common question I get now is, "When can I buy them? How much are they going to be? Like, what do you like? How'd you get them? I want some."
Okay. Yeah. Well, since I haven't had them in a week, or actually 2 weeks, I haven't had those questions. But you're absolutely right. I mean, before it was, "Are you recording me right now? I'm concerned about the privacy issues," and now it's like, "Oh, that's really cool." I actually did today. I went over to Target just to get pizza because the fridge isn't stocked. So I went over there and I did that at the wrong time because apparently there's a whole bunch of kids going back to school. So I had to wade
Yeah.
through. I had to wade through that, but I grabbed a pizza and walked through. I got a lot of people looking at them, but none of them really going, "Hey, is that Google Glass? What is that on your face? What?" As opposed to me not wearing glass and somebody saying, "What is that on your face?" And I don't know. It was a different vibe. It's like they knew what it was. They're kind of seeing it for the first time, but they didn't really want to say anything. It's like you can come up and ask if you want.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do that where I can kind of hear whispers of people saying, "Hey, check out, he's wearing glass. I didn't wear glass." And then like a couple of people will come up and say, "Is that Google Glass?" Like, "Oh, it's so cool," and things like that. So
Hmm.
I think more people see them than I realize, but I try to not act too weird. I'm trying not to like take pictures of lots of random people because I mean that's creepy, and why would I want pictures of them anyway? So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we both are pretty blessed because of the fact that we live in cities that have a lot of good sights to them, so you can take glass without getting somebody into a picture, and you just have a lot. We both have a lot of good scenery that we can take, and I like that a lot, especially up here when it starts to snow. It'll really be interesting to see how glass works and
Yeah.
records video and pictures. So. But anyway, if you want to read more on that, go over to androidguys.com and the 1 month of Google Glass. Moving from there, we're going to go over to Business Insider. I guess Google came out with they patented a phrase called pay per gaze. Now, of course, Google's talking about privacy, and they said that they're not going to mess with augmented reality for privacy issues, but with this patent that they're filing for, it's kind of like it's a collection thing. So, like for instance, you turn your head and you see a Snickers bar, and you turn your head and go, Snickers bar, or you think it's a Snickers bar, and you're looking at that Snickers bar, and Google Glass is kind of seeing that Snickers bar and then collecting that data, so it knows a little bit about your purchases, what you're interested, what you're not interested in, what you look at, what you won't look at. Now, I'm not exactly sure how that would actually work because the glass would need to be on at the time, but it does bring up that all those privacy issues that we've been talking about these last weeks. And for somebody like Google, do you think that they patent it just to make sure that nobody else patents it, or what do you think they're doing here, Luke?
It's hard to say. I would guess that it's more of a defensive patent, that they don't want somebody else being able to do that, and then either them not be able to do it or them have to pay licenses for that. I mean, advertising is one of their core businesses. I mean, it is widely known that that's where they generate most of their revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think any sort of patent with the advertisements is either something that they're working on, or it's one of these just kind of defensive things that they want to have, so that if they are able to make it, no one else can do it. They've said that they don't want to put ads on Glass. That's directly against the developer guidelines, and they wouldn't approve an app that does that. They can always change their mind, and maybe someday we'll be seeing ads on there. This data collection of which ads you like and which ads you don't. That starts getting that kind of creepy factor of like, neat that people can tell that, but it's kind of creepy that they can tell that.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I mean, once again, the glass needs to be on to do anything. It's not gonna automatically turn itself on. Well, unless you do this and you have that functionality on. But it's not gonna turn itself on because it sees a Snickers bar and says, "Ooh, a Snickers bar." It's just not gonna do something like that. But it is interesting on how they're planning this and how they're applying for these patents, and it makes perfect sense. You don't, on one hand, you don't want somebody else to do it, so they'd have to slap their hands, but on the other hand, they now have the patent, or will have the patent, or maybe will have the patent. So when they decide that, okay, we're going to do it, we're going to turn that puppy on, they've got the patent for it.
yeah.
So interesting stuff. It's all about that privacy thing, and I don't know, it just I accept it, and yet I don't accept it at the same time. Does that make sense, Luke, at all?
Yeah, no, I think it does. A lot of people are very touchy about that. I know Google tries to do things to make people feel at ease by having the anonymous browsing, things like that turn on. But there's always going to be some amount of data gathering that they're going to want to do, and I think that most companies are doing that kind of thing. It does get into a tricky subject. The nice thing is, they've got a patent on it, so that that if anybody else tries to do it, Google will go after them.
Yeah.
And if they do it, people mentioned in the patent, there could be opt-out things, there could be opt-in things. I'm sure Google would try to spin it like, we can tailor experiences even more for you if you let us gather this information.
Yeah.
Like, we can tell what kind of stuff you like without you even having to click a like button or click a +1. We can just watch your eyes dilate. If they dilate, we know, and all that kind of stuff. And that just gets creepy. But a lot of people would eventually say, I don't like having to, or I mean, I don't want to have to click a like button. Like, why can't you just tell that I like something? So
Yeah.
it's an interesting little debate. But
Well, it's kind of like,
Google will spin it their way, and other people will spin it against them. And I think hopefully it'll be up to the users in the end to decide.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Facebook, or not Facebook, excuse me, Foursquare. That's the one I was thinking of. To use Foursquare, you got to pull out your phone and you gotta log in, you gotta unlock your screen, and then you have to turn around and go into the Foursquare app, and then you gotta find the place that you're Foursquaring into, and then you gotta check in, which means you gotta put in post, maybe take a picture, and all that. That takes 2-3 minutes to do, when they could actually set it up in like a POS system. So when you come in, you give them your card, and it logs you in and says, "Hey, do you want to do your Foursquare check-in?" You can say yes, and then they just push a button, and then poof, you've just checked into that place, you don't have to do a darn thing. Same thing with Glass is you don't want to have to do a lot of stuff. When I lost the touchpad capability, I still had functionality of the Glass, but I couldn't do anything. Every now and then I could get to that front screen and I could say, "Okay, Glass," but I had no other commands to go to from there. It would have been nice to say, "Forward, go to settings, add in a wireless account so I can actually upload the pictures I took, so I don't have to worry about it," and go from there. So just that whole bypassing, it does make sense. And there's a lot of people that are still concerned on it, but what can you do? It's either one or the other.
Yeah. And I mean, you can always not use it, and there'll be people that do that. Like there are people that avoid smartphones today because of privacy issues and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So, um, it's up to each person to decide.
I just wrote an article today about apparently 20% of American adults do not use the internet, do not have a smartphone. And that's a pretty interesting number. I'm not surprised on that number, but what I am surprised about is it's like something like 75% of American adults that are under 65 that don't use the internet, that don't have a smartphone. That's an interesting statistic right there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's always, privacy is going to be a big thing during this whole time, during the
Hmm.
developer part, during the when they release it to manufacturing, when you can go out to the box store and pick it up for $300-400 and go from there. So all right, let's move on from there. We're going to go over to droidlife.com. They're talking about how they might want to have a referee have a pair of Google Glass or something very similar for different things. Now, I'm guessing that's not so you can check your tweets or anything like that, but it's probably more for the fact that, they could do an instant replay just by looking at Glass. They could they could look up a rule on Glass. Wouldn't that be interesting? It's like, wait a minute, I want to just double check the rule. Okay, Glass, check rule 34 about traveling. Okay, that's the rule. Okay, that's what we do. So
Yeah.
they're really for it. It's mostly about instant replays, but with that small of a screen, would an instant replay be viewable to notice a ball that's out of bounds or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it'd be difficult. Maybe if you could do some zooming on it, like you can kind of do with the browser, and maybe, zoom in on the video or something like that, it might be helpful. Um, it seems like having a cell phone or something that you can pull out and actually have a nice high-res display on might be more valuable than
Yeah.
a heads-up display. But it's neat that they're doing it. I think it'd be cool if they could do more point of view recording of the actual referee so they could see what they saw, and so they could make judgments based on that.
Oh, how about this? The quarterback is wearing a pair of Google Glass, and the head coach is hooked up to that quarterback's Google Glass, and he's doing some sort of video chat with the head coach. So the head coach is actually seeing what the quarterback's seeing, for the most part, and so they can make they can record it. They can figure out what went wrong during that game or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
the smartphone, that does bring up a good thing. This is the reason why I've got this smartphone here. I wanted to show off the My Glass application, and I've got an LG Optimus G here, which I use. It's on a Sprint, and I got this as a promotional thing for review. They let me keep it to work. So it's basically like a very small tablet, Android tablet for me. But one thing that I get to do is I get to use Google Glass and hook it up and pair it up because I don't have a smartphone that does that. So I actually paired it with my Google Glass, So you can actually see what I'm seeing. Like, for instance, there's some directions. There's the temperature in Madison right now, 77 degrees, and I got a 92% battery with Wi-Fi data. And you're talking about with referees. When I said can they really see uh, something, the ball going out of bounds or something like that? No, they might not be able to do it from glass, but they can definitely do it from here because it's a better resolution from there. So, any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's a great idea. I think it's great that people are thinking about different opportunities for it, for this kind of display and um, recording of video and all that kind of stuff. I think it would be really neat because they can send text information to the referee that are out on the field, like somebody else could be sending them information about, like, hey, here's a rule, or here's a close up of the video that we're reviewing, and so you can see here he stepped out of bounds or whatever, and so it could just be something that pops in, and so they don't have to pull out a phone or anything. They can basically just see, hey, we're doing or maybe one of the teams wants to request a player substitution or something. They can basically see that coming in, and so they don't have to try to look at the sidelines and watch
Yeah.
the coaches on there, trying to make some sort of signal or anything.
Or another thing is the referee might have the hangout open, and there's like three other referees looking right where that referee is looking. So a very important play, like a fourth down, and inches to go, or
Mm-hmm.
just something that would be a game changer to have the referee, him or her, turn on glass and hit the button, so it then pushes out to the booth, and then there's like 5 or 6 people watching exactly what he's seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and from the exact point. I think that would change the game, the reffing game for sure, because now you can have a booth or a team of booth refs doing even more play calling.
Yeah, really make sure the plays are called right. I know that's been an annoying thing the past few years because we have all these great instant replays, and so sometimes the people at home can end up seeing it better than the referees because they can, they're showing all the different angles, all the different cameras,
Yep.
and then it's like everyone gets upset because the ref, you know, do it, but all the rules, forbid instant replays or, reviewing the play or whatever. It's kind of, it can be frustrating. Maybe it'll just do more of that as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, Luke, just so you know, you're doing a little bit of breaking up here, unfortunately. So we're gonna get into the last article and go from there. The only thing I can think of is maybe talking just a little bit slower, because the
Okay.
audio's just it's kind of like it's tripping over itself, and I'm not exactly sure why. We'll have to figure that out. Maybe get you a microphone or something like that. See if that makes a difference. Because apparently we use Hangouts for this, and apparently last week Google did some major changes, and one of the changes they did was Hangouts, and I got a whole new set of dials on my Google Hangout. So and of course Luke was hearing me, what's called a slapback, a ghost echo, from me. He's still hearing it. So it's pretty interesting. Google's had some interesting stuff happen this week, and they had that 5 second outage that cost them like $500,000 because they were down for 5 seconds. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Happened on Friday at 3:51 PST. So
Hmm.
everybody was, well, a lot of people were mostly asleep. Even the East Coast was just waking up, so they missed it. But you think about that, if that was at like noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and all of a sudden they had a 5 second outage, $500,000, that'd probably be more like 2-3 million. So anyway, let's move on to the last story here. Going from referees wearing Google Glass to police officers wearing Google Glass. This is something I want to get your guys' opinion on. What do you think? What they're talking about is when a police officer stops somebody, that they would actually record it, that they would actually maybe even do some sort of hangout as they're being stopped, and other people are watching as this officer is conducting some situation and he doesn't have proper backup or anything like that. And they've got an app here that apparently they say that it would allow safety officers and officials to communicate in real time via streaming video and receive key documents and other things that would make them push things forward into turning a situation into an arrest or something else. And it's actually very interesting because they've gone a lot farther than the referees, because the referees are just, hey, what if referees are wearing glass? This one is, hey, we've got an app. We're ready to do some sort of deployment to this and test this out with police officers, have them wear glass, and go from there. Well, once again, we're talking privacy issues, but is this a bad thing or not?
Yeah, I'd be real interested to hear what the listeners think on this. I know I have my thoughts. It revolves kind of around that warning you get whenever you call, in your cell phone provider or whoever, and they say this call may be monitored for quality assurance. I can just imagine that coming out of the police car. They pull you over, and then before the guy gets out, he's like, "This arrest, this incident is being monitored for quality assurance. You will be video and audio recorded." And then the guy gets out and he's wearing his glass and he comes up and you know
Well, you
people
get
are listening or watching from the police station.
you got to understand one thing is there nowadays cars are starting to get equipped with wireless data receivers so that you know how you watch cops and they have that camera that's stuffed into the front of the grill of the cop car.
Yeah,
Nowadays it's a lot more where it's not only a camera that's stuffed in the cop car, but it's also sending that data back to headquarters. So if there is a problem, there's somebody can be watching a monitor and see what's going on, from the cop car at that point in time, so they can determine, does this person need more backup? How are they handling this? Is this a good situation? Is this a bad situation? So technically, they've already got this big brother effect coming from the car. It's just going from the car to a first person point of view. And it, no matter what, you're going to get recorded. But it's just a question of, are you getting recorded from the car or are you getting recorded from the first person view?
yeah. It's not a new issue really. It's just kind of a variation on an existing issue. But I think in general, most people would, like it as long as everything is protected, like all those videos and that audio are where it's not, broadcast on the internet for everyone to watch in real time. It's, kept within the law enforcement arena.
Yeah. So, and then of course they're saying, "Oh, this is the age of RoboCop now." It's like, whatever. It's Bluetooth with video. It's what it is.
Yeah,
That's what it
not
boils down
quite
to.
like RoboCop, but it's
Not
getting there.
not
It's getting there.
not quite like what?
It's not quite like RoboCop,
Yeah, I don't
but
have.
some augmented, arms and legs and the video thing. It's getting pretty close.
And a gun that comes out of your hip.
Yeah,
I can't wait for that to happen. That'd be awesome. Just hip opens up and there's a gun. Hey, I got a gun.
yeah. A lot of that was filmed in Dallas, right?
A lot of what?
A lot of RoboCop was actually filmed in Dallas.
Oh yeah, and where's the new RoboCop's being filmed up in Quebec, isn't it?
I don't know.
Okay, so well, I didn't. It's kind of funny. They filmed in Dallas to talk about Detroit.
Yeah,
It's kind of like the Avengers. They filmed in Cleveland and they recreated New York City in Cleveland.
yeah,
I don't know. There's been a few movies here in Madison that were not supposed to be in Madison. There's a Keanu Reeves movie that was supposed to be somewhere else, but they filmed it in Madison because I guess that's where they wanted to film it, or it looked good or whatnot. So anyway, all right. Well, that does it for all the articles. Did you have anything that you wanted to add for this week in Google Glass, Luke?
no, I think we covered everything. like I said, we'd like to hear more from our viewers and listeners. So if you have any, news tips or interesting articles you read, send it over to Jeff at twig.tv or Luke at twig.tv at twigg.tv.
Yep.
There's a second T in there you gotta look out for.
All right. And that was Luke, and my name is Jeff, Jeffrey Powers. Geekazine is my Twitter handle. You can find me at geekazine.com. We've got articles, of course. I wrote that big article about my third pair of Google Glass now coming in. We'll see how long it goes, and of course, if anybody wants to start a pool of when my Google Glass is going to break and I have to send them back, just let me know where the pool is, and if you won the money, just let me know so we can split it halvesies, right? No. So. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. If you do have a pair of Google Glass, you want to be part of the show, let us know, and we'll get you in. I'm talking to a couple people. There was an article I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to wait till I get this person on. He's interested in doing it, so we might have him on in the next week or two. So, and of course, if you've got Google Glass, feel free to let me know, and we'll get you on the show, and we'll talk to you about your experiences and go from there. So, Luke, thank you very much for being on the show once again.
Thank you for having me.
All right,
it's always a fun time.
And hopefully we'll get this this latency issue figured out eventually. So anyway, there you go. So my name is Jeffrey Powers. This is Luke Wallace. You guys have a great time. It is This Week in Google Glass.